Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the design thinking process. In design thinking process, the process has done in four ways: empathize, analyze, ideate, and prototype. And what are the driving inventions while implementing the new process? And also the social innovations in design thinking and different tools of design thinking like persona, customer journey map, brainstorming, product development. First, we'll see about the design thinking process. Design thinking is a non-linear iterative process and understand the user's perspective, and we have to challenge the assumptions and again redefine the problem and create innovative solutions to prototype and test. Why we are call it as a non-linear and iterative process means whenever you are developing or creating something new, definitely the users are who are going to be benefited. They are facing some issues or some challenges while they are using that product or service. That time you have to fixing that challenges or issues, and we have to maintaining the continuously and managing services or products. So that's why we are called it as a iterative process. For example, we'll see in softwares like all are using mobile phones. In every mobile phones, we have some updations, some extra features are adding, and we are using the different versions. In every versions, they are introduced new process and new approaches are resolving the issues previously happened. So that's why we are call it as a iterative process. And the team who are going to be design something new, you have to understand the user's perspective and you have to challenge the assumptions what you are going to be assumptions that is happen in wrong way. You have to challenge that one and finding the solutions. You have to redefine the problem where the assumptions are challenged. So redefine the problem and creative innovative solutions, and you have to make a prototype and test, finally deliver the product or service in the market. So this is the design thinking process. So what are the stages are involved in design thinking process? Before we'll see the Steve Jobs define that design is not just what it's look like and feels like. Design is how it works, how the design is working for the users in benefit way. So that is the Steve Jobs quotes in design means. In design thinking, we follow the Stanford design thinking model for creating the solutions for the different problems. In the Stanford School design thinking process, they are defined the design thinking in five stages: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. In empathize phase, you have to understand the user's perspective. While gathering the user's perspective, you have to follow some different approaches like interviews, shadowing, seek to understand, and non-judgmental. And you have to observing the different users how they are used, and taking the feedbacks of the users. And also you have to understand the users behaviors, and you have to main focusing on non-judgmental while they are giving any feedbacks or observations or any interviews. You have to take the decision in not taking the decision in a judgmental way, because every perspective, every person has their own perspective. You have to accept that everything, not a decision that is wrong or right, not judgmental. That's when you are going to in that phase non-judgmental way, you have to understand the user's behaviors. So this is the empathize phase. You have to mainly understand the user's way, human centric approach we have to follow. So that's why in empathize way, you have to put your head on the user's shoe, means different persons. So that's the time only you have to understand the everything. Next phase is define. In define, you have to identify the problem. In empathize phase means users pain points or users problems. So you have to define that solutions, that problem. You have to define the solutions. So how the define solutions are using the personas, role, objectives, decisions, challenges, pain points. Based on that, you have to define the problem. Next, phase is ideate. So based on that problem, you have to create different solutions based on that your ideas. How the ideas will come means you have to share your thoughts to other persons, share ideas. All ideas are worthy. Diverge and converge. Ascent thinking prioritize method. So whenever the problem is defined, you have to take the solutions from the who are involved in this in that process. So share ideas. Next is all ideas are worthy. We are not judgmental here. This idea is benefits or this idea is not worthy. So all ideas are worthy. Sometimes some ideas will work, sometimes not, but you have to take the all ideas are worthable. Then whenever your actual process will start it, that time you have to reduce that reduce or not using that different ideas not suitable for that problem. So all ideas worthy, and you have to diverge and converge. You have to divide and converge. The problems can be divided and identify the solutions for that division of problems, and finally you are combining and deliver the solutions. Next one is and thinking. You have to solve that when is, and you have to think that different solutions. You have to prioritize that problem to the solutions. Next phase is prototype. In prototype, you have to use some mock-ups, storyboards. You have to mention in keep it simple way. You have to design the prototype. Fail fast. You have to design the process in fast manner. Definitely, sometimes the process will be the prototype will be fail fast, and again solution rapid solutions you have to give. Fail fast and solutions quickly. You have to define iterate quickly. Whenever you are going to fastly fail, then you have to quickly producing the solutions, or you have to define the solutions. Next phase is in test. In test, you have to understand what are the basic requirements it is following that solutions or not, and what works, role play, iterate quickly. These are the different phases in design thinking process. In Stanford, the school are following the design thinking process in 5 ways. Define is the second phase, ideate third phase, prototype, and next test. The first one is empathize. In empathize, you have to understand the user's behaviors. Define, you have to understand it, what you are understanding user's behavior. You have defined the problem and finding the solutions. In ideate phase, after solutions, you have to make a prototype in storyboards, graphical user interfaces, how you are providing in, you have to maintain in simple way. After that, you have to check the it is working or not using test. These are the different phases using design thinking process. Coming to the first one, empathize phase. Visit users in their natural environments, conducting the interviews, or taking the feedback, and how the user can behave that time. You have to understand everything. The activities you are performed in empathize phase, identifying the users and understanding their needs, observing user behaviors in context. Sometimes you have to using storytelling to connect with users, how the uh, product or service is facing the problem. So you have to using storytelling method to connect with the users, engaging in dialogues with users and collecting feedback, conducting field studies and user interviews. These are the different activities you are performing in empathize phase. And the activities, so you have to identify the users and understanding their needs using persona map, empathy map, journey map to find the user needs. So these are the different activities we are performing using these different perspectives: personas, empathy map, journey map to find the user needs. This is the table in activities in empathy stage: identifying the users needs and understanding, observing user behavior in context, using storytelling to connect with users, and engaging in dialogues with the users and collecting feedback, conducting field studies, user interviews. These are the activities, and you have to report the what you are understanding, what you are getting the different behaviors of the users. You have to report the empathy stage using these different tools in empathize phase: personas, empathy map, journey map. The persona is like this. This is the template of the design thinking persona template. In this persona, you have to represent the user's journey, while empathy maps are designed to highlight the user circumstances and perspectives. Specific user circumstances and perspectives are defined in the personas. So this is the image. What is the description, bio, quote, goals, needs, pain points, personality traits. This is the example of persona map. Next one is the empathy map. It is a visual representation of the attitudes and behaviors of an individual user. Whenever the empathy map is focusing mainly on the attitudes and behaviors of the individual user, and also it captures the user's emotions and thoughts based on the data interviewers. So this is the example of the empathy map. First, what the user will say, what the user thinks, does, feels. So this is the empathy map. Difference between the empathy map and persona is, in empathy map, the user, the individual user or group of users are involved. The main point is here focusing on these specific circumstances or perspectives. The perspectives can be rewritten as a small details, and the data can be collected from the conversation driven. In persona, the users behaviors can be used in summary format. The main focus in persona map is identify and focus on entire user journeys. The perspective is big picture. The data can be driven from the research. So empathy means it is individual or group of users. But in here, the summary of all users we are focusing. The main point here only focusing on the specific circumstances or perspective. In persona, we have to focusing entire user's journey. The perspective, small details in empathy map. In persona, the big picture will be taken. The data can be driven from the conversation in empathy map. In persona, that the data can be in research. So this is the difference between empathy map and persona. Next, we'll see about the journey map. Journey map, it is a visualization process. How the journey can be happened in the when you are going to be designing. So first you have to define the company goals, create buyers personas, identifying all touch points in the customer journey, take the customer journey to understand the pain points and customer emotions. You have to take a note, and also the maybe extra resources needed. You have to determine that resources also, and revise your maps and improve the overall customer experiences. In customer journey mapping, how the visual process can be happened to accomplish a goal of the every person. So journey mapping start with user actions into a timeline. We have to mention the user actions in a timeline manner. So what are the touch points of journey map? In seeing an advertisement for a product or service, how the user will be seeing that one. Next one is the visiting. In visiting company's website or social media page. In contacting customer service or for support or assistance. In purchase, making a purchase or placing an order. In confirmation, receiving a confirmation email or shipping notification. Feedback, providing feedback or leaving a review. So these are the different touching points in journey map. So how the users can be used some product or services in that time, when the user can be seeing, visiting, contacting, purchasing, confirmation, feedback. In these phases, in these steps where the user can mainly facing the problem, you have to identify the timeline, and also you have to find the solutions also based on your journey map. If suppose the advertisement will be used, the advertisement can be seen by particular person based on that product or service, that time they are facing any problems, it is also the one a touch point. Means you have to reduce that one in visiting also. If suppose company websites they visited, but it is not under properly maintained or not showing the proper information, so you have to give the solution also. Whenever the contacting the customer support, suppose they have some issues, they are contacted with the customer support at service or assistance. If suppose you are not giving that properly, that is also one drawback. Whenever purchasing placing orders, that time also it's not properly maintained, the confirmation, receiving confirmation message, and feedback they are providing, and you have to you have to give that feedback solution also. Sometimes it's not properly maintained also, some touch points, so you have to maintain everything in a timeline manner. So this is the customer journey map in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Specific user scenario goals. The opportunities plus internal ownership can be mentioned in the journey map. This is one of the example of the customer journey map. Shopping for a new car. First week, how the customers can be seen. Explore 2 months, 1 month, 2 weeks, negotiate 1 week. So these are the this is the way to we have mentioned journey map. Next, the difference between the empathy map and journey map means empathy mainly focusing on the user thoughts and emotions during scenario, but journey map is outlines the end-to-end experience based on the timeline, how the 1 month or 2 months or weekly, though various touch points and stages are there. So that's why we are observing with the pain points facing the users. And empathy maps offers depth and dissecting specific instances. Journey map will provide the breadth of information capturing the entire user journey. So this is the difference between empathy map and journey map. Finally, what is the first stage of output, the empathy stage? First, we have to define the problem clearly by understanding the customer objectives. Next, when analyzing the user behaviors through observation, interviews, and surveys. Next, developing the empathy maps, creating personas, gathering feedbacks from testing phases. So here we're finding the user needs. That is the first stage of design thinking process. Next, second stage is define. Move on to the second stage. We have to understand the problem in empathy phase. After that understanding, you have to define the problem statement of users. How the problem statement can be proposed means how we are defining. You have to establish a clear idea and exactly which problem solve for the user. So what are the activities you are performing in defined stage means analysis and synthesis, and you have to mainly focusing point of view, POV. How might we? These are the activities you are performing in defined phase when you are going to define the problem statement. So analysis and synthesis point of view, how might we? These are the well-defined problem statements. In defined stage, the difference between analysis and synthesis, you have to stakeholders interviews in analysis phase. In synthesis, you have to mainly focusing on the user journey mapping, artifact analysis, immersion, root cause analysis, business modeling, process analysis, surveys, and focus groups data analysis can be done in analysis phase. In synthesis, you have to maintain the future state modeling, joint application design, user story workshops, wireframes, prototyping, problem solving workshops, scenario modeling are following in synthesis phase. So this is a defined stage, how business analyst mindset will be focusing on business and what are the main solutions to business goals, solve the right problem, question everything, lead and facilitate, analysis before synthesis, information before requirements, analysis before synthesis, uncover gaps, don't cover them up. You have to mainly focusing on the gaps where you are not covered, simplify until nothing can be removed, take responsibility for shared understanding in of business requirements, accept and embrace business change, be part of the solution, human behavior from human beings, Learn, adapt, and thrive. These are the mindset of the business analyst when you are defining the problem. What makes a good problem statement? How the good problem can be happened? How we are saying it is a good problem statement? First, whenever you are proposing or defining the problem, first you have to maintain the focus on needs that you have uncovered. Provide where you are going to be mainly not focused, means not covering that problem. That time only you have to get the solution in ideate stage. When you are going to define the problem in correct way, that time only the different ideas and solutions can be formed in ideation stage. So we have to define the problem in possibility optimum way, based on the different solutions we'll get. Next, the good problem statement should be a human centered and broad enough for creative freedom, narrow enough to make it manageable. Human centered, and you have to maintain the creative freedom, and it is manageable. The problem statement should be improve the human condition, sufficient constraint to make the project manageable, create, define, and adapt, become more action oriented. So these are the different considerations while you are uh, creating the solutions to the problem. So that time you have to mainly focusing on the how defining the problem based on the human centered, and broad enough for creative freedom, narrow enough to make it manageable. This is the good problem statement. So these are the different analysis can be done into one place to create a college of experiences, thoughts, insights, and stories. Based on that only you have to analysis of the observations based on different perspectives. Analysis by questions. What is a specific target group? What is the specific need or problem to be solved? Characterization of the target group. If suppose whenever you are going to define that problem, which group can be used, this one means which group can be use that product or service. Person details like age, gender, occupation, living condition, hobbies. You have to characterization of the target group. Based on that only you have to maintain that user needs in proper way. Analysis the problem that we are called it as a pains, problems, and wishes, gains. What are the wishes associated with innovation? Next, description of the customer needs. Customer journey and story board are very helpful to identify the customer needs. In that storyboards and journey maps, we have to maintain the each and every touch points of the users. Based on that only you have to easily identify the customer needs. And what are the jobs to be done? It mainly focuses on the tasks or services, and understand a job as a task to complete it in certain situation or to achieve the progress from the customer's point of view. Jobs can be differentiated like functional jobs, social jobs, personal jobs. Based on that you have to define the different questions here while you are analyzing them. These are the different checklist for identifying the problem statement. Mainly the customers want to achieve their goals based on the task. What are the customers want to do, task or activities, why it is there, in which situation context the customer task can be done. What are the activities to be solved when you are going to be for providing framework. And also the what are the characteristics of the customers and his experience. What are the perception of the job when you are going to be created, defined in the solution. And what are the social, cultural, or political influence affect the perception of the job, and what results you have to gain from that one. And the difference between the customer and non-customer with different activities, tasks can be involved in that one. End of stage, we have to define the problem statement. For example, Margaret and Simon require a website which will display the information they require quickly and which easy to read or hear. So this is the problem statement when you are going to be defined based on the user needs. Next, third stage is ideate. In ideation, it is a creative process where designers generate ideas in sessions like brainstorming. It is a third phase. Ideate is in that ideas whenever the team has different thoughts and solutions to solve the problem, we have to take the all ideas and it is actively or positively, otherwise it is benefit or not benefit. You have to take that idea and you have to how that idea is useful for that solving the problem, so that you have to take the main all ideas which going to be generated from the different perspectives of the team members. Participants gather with open minds to produce as many ideas they can address a problem statement in facilitated judgment free environment. You are not going to be judgmental, this idea is only useful for this process, this is not good or benefit for the problem. So you should not make the decision. First you have to take the ideas from the different perspectives and how that ideas will be solved to the problem. That is mainly here, that idea is practically possible or not, after you have to decide that one, but not going to judge. You have to take the all minds of information, that only you have to think in broad way for the development of the solution. So what are the activities in idea stage? You have to mainly focusing point of view. Every point, everyone has their own point of view, so you have to take the different ideas from their point of view. Mind map, how might we, brainstorming, evaluation, and selecting good idea. So finally you're getting the good solution to solve the user needs, thereby business development will be achieved. So whenever you are performing these activities in ideate stage, you get the good solutions, means good ideas will be happened. What is mind mapping? Mind mapping techniques are it is like strategies to organizing everything in a proper logical and visual appearing way. Whenever you have suppose you suppose you have to make a something new or remember something, the brain is storing that information in neurons. It's like a cells, the connection will be there, means that is organized in proper way. So whenever you're going to store that information in a cell, that storing is whenever you have to get the information from the cell in a sequential approach. Otherwise you have to visualizing something, the our mind is visualizing, that can be stored in a logical way in our brain. So mainly the organizing can be logical and visual appealing way, you have to store in mind mapping. Whenever the mind mapping can be used, different persons or different members, the store of information in brain, and you get the information based on that how the store is in mind. So who user mind maps? People use mind mapping in business, tech sectors, government departments, the private organization. Every person use this mind mapping. How means, if suppose you have to travel one place to another place, but our brain will store the where the main places in that way source to for example, you have to go from here to any other place. Whenever you are traveling, your brain stores the visual things happened by near or in surroundings. That's why our brain will be recognized everything and visually stored in here. Based on that only, next time you have to travel in that place, you have to identify that one. So the mind mapping, the mind will be mapped with some recognition formats. So that's why in students also, they are whenever they are going to presenting or writing any exams, based on that mind stores the information, they are getting the content. In various sectors also mind mapping used in business, tech sectors, government departments, the private organizations. Who uses mind maps in industries, technology, non-profits, education, business, governments? In coming to the professionals, productive experts, creatives, designers, students, teachers, they are using this type mind maps for easily recognizing or easily remembering something. How to create mind maps? Mind maps are creating simple to build and hierarchical structural way or a tree model. Core elements can be mainly maintained, linked to via branches like this. So this is one of the example of the mind mapping. In planning, you have to represent like projects, what are the goals, what are the strategies. Coming to the creativity, what are the different ideas are coming, collaboration, teamwork, colleagues. So this is the collaboration in that. And also this is also one our design thinking mind mapping. So in empathizing, what you are mainly focusing on the observe users, learn about the target group, listen to the audience. Coming to the define goal setting, ask questions, reframe your point of view, look for marketing insight. In ideate, you have to experiment with the new idea, cooperate with team members, brain and test, discuss solution. In prototype, refine progress, learn from user review, gather market feedback, act fast and efficient. In test, evaluate, iterate and scale, gather information, user testing and survey. These are the design thinking stages. So in whenever you are picturizing is stored in your brain, these are the different phases. In every, this is ideate is linked with this experiment and cooperate and brain. So this the mind will be mapping like this one. First the design thinking, next you have to remember the all stages. After that, in empathy, this is the three are linked with the empathize. Next prototype, like that your mind will be mapping. Coming to the next technique in my in ideate, brainstorming. It is a great way to generate many ideas. It like collective thinking of the group or engaging with these with us, engaging with each other, listening, and building on other ideas. It is mainly focused on one problem or challenges at a time. It is aim of generating as many potential solutions as possible, and it can be refined and narrowed down to the best solution. So mainly the brainstorming is generating the new ideas from the different perspectives to solve the problem. So the brainstorming will be used for the amplify the good, eliminate the bad, explore the opposite, question the assumptions, identify the unexpected resources, create analogy, break the problem into pieces. So mainly this is focusing on this manner, brainstorming. Before and after brainstorming group sessions, it is a frequently a good idea to conduct individual idea sessions such as brain dumping, brain writing, brain walking. What what is the three stages of the brainstorming is brain dumping, brain writing, brain walking. What is mean by brain dumping? In brain dumping, we have to maintain the to-do list. What are the getting things going to be done in that solutions creating, and in brain writing you have to write the thoughts from the different perspectives. So that is the brain writing. Brain walking means move and discuss. You have to interact with other persons. You have to discuss with others. That is the brain walking. And one more method also you are used in ideate to getting the best solutions from the different ideas means six hats methods. In six hats methods, who are introduced means de bono, six thinking hats. What does these hats means? If suppose blue hat, it is mainly managing the big picture and managing. Next, white hat means facts and information. Yellow hat means positive. Green means new ideas. Red means feelings and emotions. Black means negative. Blue hat is a process. White hat focuses on the facts. Red hat focuses on the feelings. Green hat focuses on the creativity. Yellow hat focuses on the benefits. Black hat is providing the cautions. This is also the 16 hats for the ideations representation. Next method is prototype. In design thinking, a prototype is a mainly defining the preliminary or early version of a product, service, or design concept that is created to test and validate assumptions, gathering feedbacks, and refine the design before launching the final versions. A prototype is like a model when preliminary version of a product, how the product going to be use it for the different perspectives from the different users before you have to deliver the prototype, how it is going to be happened uh, in real time. So first we have to before testing also, first you have to maintain the prototype. It is a preliminary working model how the process will be happened, and prototyping ensures that the time and resources rightly invested into develop a final product. Whenever you are developing the product, you have to use the sketches, mock-ups, physical models, or even digital simulations or PowerPoint presentations. In that presentations or mock-ups, sketches, or graphical representation or charts, whenever you are going to represent the prototype, how the process is going to be evolved, how the preliminary version of the product going to be happened. So first you have to represent the visual thinking nature in the prototype, means how the prototype in a preliminary version. So that is prototype. What are the three types of prototyping we are used? Means low fidelity prototyping, medium fidelity prototyping, high fidelity prototyping. So these three types of prototyping methods are there. Low fidelity prototyping means storyboarding, sketching, wizard, process flow, schematic diagrams, or a skit. These are the low fidelity prototyping. Means it's like a low presentations of the prototyping, means preliminary versions you have to define. In the medium means detailed storyboarding, sketching, wizards, process flows, schematic diagrams are used. High fidelity prototyping means 3D plastic model. Functional model allows the users to feel the functions of the product, wireframes, craft model, moving parts. For example, when the software is going to be introduced, like any application, first develop the low fidelity prototyping, like graphical user interfaces, how the user can be interacting, different operations, functions are happening in that applications. In that medium means it's like a sketches, process flow, schematic diagrams are used. High fidelity means functionality of the applications, how the user can feel of the product can be used, so that can be defined in the high fidelity prototyping. So low fidelity prototyping is a simple, rough, quick representations created using inexpensive materials like paper, cardboard, or digital tools. So the purpose of low fidelity is to quickly explore, communicate the core concepts of the functionality of the design, and also the in early stages design process to gather feedback, iterate on ideas. Next, test the feasibility and viability of the investing significant time and resources. So that's why we are using low fidelity prototyping in simple manner. High fidelity prototyping means detailed and closely resemble the final product or service, and created using the advanced software or tools are used, and how the interacting elements, functional components, real time realistic user experience, in depth testing and evaluation can be happened, and also the useful in later stages like validating the specific design decisions test user interactions, and gain a deeper understanding of the user experiences. This is the high fidelity prototyping. So detailed manner, when you are going to be mentioned, you have to prefer the high fidelity prototyping. Simplistic way or rough way, quickly presentations, we are using the low fidelity prototyping. Both the fidelities prototypings are is the preliminary versions of the product can be mentioned. Whatever the presentation is considered by you, that's the mainly focusing. So sketching and diagrams, this this is also one of the example how your representational of sketchings diagrams. In the paper prototyping, it is a hands-on technique, like low fidelity representation using simple materials like such as paper, sticky notes, and markers. You are using in the paper prototyping. The paper interface, how the operations are performing. For example, we are taking as a Gmail, that is open updates applications, how the profile will be created, and everything you have to mention what are the operations are happening. The paper interface you have to mention which is the link to the next one, updates, promotion, these are the different labels are created, right? So that is also you have to explain in paper interface. Next, this is the storyboard. This is also one of the method, the storyboard, the prototyping method. Use the visual illustrate users journey and the interactions with the product or service. Next example, how the design thinking banking mobile app. So this is the storyboard we are mentioned here. The banking app like login, and these are the different operations can be performed. This can be represented in our storyboard representation. Otherwise, you have to mention in your paper presentations are like otherwise PPTs. So you have to use in prototyping. This is the storyboard. So what is scenario based prototyping means? It is a technique for the real life situations and environments can be maintained in what are the experiences in can be achieved, and what are the mainly real life situations and environments can be defined in scenario prototyping. It construct main story around the user's journey and designing prototypes. So the process in prototype means the first step is to identify the target user, define the key scenarios, develop the user narratives, create low fidelity prototypes, conduct the user testing, iterate and refine, gradually increase fidelity, validate and test and iterate again. First, you have to target users can be defined. Next, key scenarios. Develop user narratives. First, you have to create the simple and rough, low fidelity. Next, conduct user testing, iterate and refine. Gradually increase fidelity can be introduced in this is the simple, rough like you are using. This is like high level representation, high fidelity. Validate, iterate, and again. This is the process in prototyping. This is the one of other example for prototyping, that is Lego prototyping. So it has a toy consisting of interlocking plastic building blocks and role playing, physical modeling using 3D printing, wizards. When you are representing the prototypes, you have to use the wizards also. So a prototype is worth a thousands of meeting. Why means if suppose the meetings is happen in every week or every month, in every 15 days or every day, the meetings can be only you have to mention in your oral representation. Otherwise, the communication only in the whatever your thoughts are how you are going to be implemented, it's not real. But it's suppose the prototype is a it is a model, right, working model, how you are representing, this is the interfaces. The thoughts can be defined in a paper or presentations, the different places you have to mention. The prototype can be happen like this one. So it is a like 1,000 meetings can be worthable. A prototype is why means you know, right? The representation in brain coming to the reality is a prototype. The preliminary version you are developed in this prototype only. Final stage is testing. So after prototype, you have to understanding the and defining the user's perspective. You have to refine, learn, solve. These are the different stages you have performed in testing. So the proposed solutions can be validated by ideas, design assumptions, and other aspects conceptualization quickly and cheaply, and to make appropriate refinements or possible changes in direction. So after prototyping, you have to the developed version can be or a proposed version can be how the preliminary version is going to be happen in real time. You have to testing here. In testing, you perform different tests, like in softwares they are performing like user testing, system testing, acceptance testing, alpha testing, beta testing. That time they are observing where the differences is there, where the differences are happened. So that time there is any problems or errors or any challenging situations are happened, so you have to identify there itself before going to be launching or maintained. So first create solutions, same way the problem is arised, why the problem is happened, you have to identify that one and resolve that one, redefine, otherwise redefine or refine where it is happened. So these are the different stages of design thinking process. First, empathize. Users behavior you can understand in empathize phase. Next, define. You have to understand the problem with the user. So you have to define the problem statement in define phase. After that problem, you're getting the many solutions to the problem. Different ideas are there. So in ideate phase, you have to select the solutions for the solving problem. Next phase, prototyping. So after that ideas, you have to take that ideas into uh, creating solutions, means creating solutions in ideate phase. After creating in prototype, you have to representing a working model, how the process is going to be happen, what are the functions, what are the functionalities are, what are the operations going to what are the user interfaces. So you have to mention using different prototypes, like paper prototyping, scenario based prototyping, storyboard. So these are the different representations how you are going to be represent, like low fidelity, high fidelity, middle level fidelity prototypings are used. After that, the final stage is testing. So the prototyping is into be going to be tested. It is validation how the process is happened. After that, testing is successfully, you have to launch the product or service. Otherwise, if it is facing any problem or any challenges, that time you have to refine, learn, again solve that one. So these are the different phases in design thinking. So the process of testing in DT, the selective participant, conduct test, gather feedback, analyze data, iterate, and refine, test again. If you are not proper to be wrong, you will never come with anything original. Means, if suppose if you are not prepared to be wrong, you will never come up with anything original. So that is like somewhat, for example, if suppose you said you are right, sometimes other person's perspective, they said it is wrong. So you have to going to be original, come up with anything original. Means if they said some their opinions, it's not prepared to be wrong. So that is, if you are not prepared to be wrong, you will never come up with the original. If suppose they said wrong, means you have to identify the way the wrong, where the misconceptions or challenges are happening. Then you have to giving the solutions away why they said wrong. So that's why, if you are not prepared to be wrong, if you are not accepting they said it is wrong, definitely you are not giving that one, that solution, or that issues cannot be solved. If suppose they said wrong, means you have to prepare they said wrong also, you have to prove that one. They come up with the original, anything original. The end goal of this design thinking process means desirable, feasible, and viable solutions. After testing and everything, you get the next phase is the implementation. Successful completion of all five stages, you can move to the product implementation. In implementing the process in driving inventions, the strategy you are following here, which guides the decision and explicit innovation ambition from the board and top management. The people are innovative, can be strong capability to innovative and have innovation tools, and the innovation metrics are used. The process you have to follow here, like you are using some customer insights, constantly uncovering and understanding today's and tomorrow's customer needs, also collaborate with the partners and leading edge customers. Social innovations labs or studios, like it occurs various sectors, fields, socio-economic markets, collaborative to create social change through the design thinking and social innovation process. Lab does not mean a science laboratory. It means it is like a collaboration between multidisciplinary persons, and you have to use the divergent convergent thinking also. In divergent thinking also, in divergent thinking, in ideation process where participants generate many ideas and options, without judging or eliminating any one idea. You have to take the everything, every idea, and not judgmental manner. That time you have to maintain the different improvisation methods or brainstorming exercises or combination of structure, and you have to follow the building, like sketching and more. Divergent thinking takes place in a convergent thinking and repeated several times during the project development. In divergent convergent thinking, as convergent thinking means the divergent in where ideas are evaluated, consolidated, and placed into a relationship with one another. But in convergent thinking, they have to mainly monitoring everything. So the techniques such as ranking, card sorting, and star rating system may be used to narrow the scope of ideas. The remaining ideas are reduced into selection of concepts for prototyping and testing. So this is the divergent and convergent thinking. So this is the example, divergent and convergent thinking. Next one is the tools of design thinking. Persona, customer journey mapping, brainstorming, product development. These are the different tools are used: visualization, journey mapping, value chain analysis, mind mapping, rapid concept development, assumption testing, prototype, co-creation, learning launches, storytelling. First, we'll see about the visualization tool. In visualization tool, the information can be represented in the form of text, numbers, into images, maps, and stories. In simplest level, we are representing creating a physical images, pictures, and stepping away from our reliance as managers on numbers and text. At a deeper level, in simplistic level, you are representing physical images or pictures. In deeper level, you are representing our mind's eye at capturing everything. Everyone has their own imagination or visual power is there. So you have to make the experiences, you have to make represent that their experiences in images format. So everyone has their own visualization. When if suppose any other person's giving a task or there something anything means, in our brain that it has a visualization capacity. If example, storytelling method, if suppose whenever they are going to telling the story, our brain can be visualized in pictured way. So that's why our brain has means in deeper level way connected. In visualization tool also we are using like this. Next, journey mapping. We already seen that journey mapping, we have to maintain the touch points where the users can face in the problem and timelines of the users. experiences can be identified, and customers information can be articulated. We have to trace everything in the customer journey mapping. We have to interact with the organization or persons, and we have to maintain the emotional highs and lows or experiences, where the problem can be happened. We have to maintain in everything. So that is journey mapping, called it as a experience mapping also. So this is the example of the journey mapping. So first, define, compare, negotiate, select the opportunities, and internal ownerships can be managed in phase one, how you are maintained phase two, phase three, phase four. For example, suppose user can using some product or service, how the 15 days he is facing or problems are in phase two. It's like a 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So the journey mapping, the customer, the experiences we are maintaining, and different perspectives also we are maintaining that time in journey mapping. That's why we are called as a experience map. Next tool is value chain analysis. In value chain analysis, we have to mainly interact with the value for the partners to produce, market, and distribute new offerings. How an organization interact with value chain partners, and analyze the value chain offers to create better value for customer along the chain, and uncovers important clues about partners capabilities and intentions. For example, whenever in manufacturing sector we are seeing different operations they are performing. For example, if suppose they create or they manufacturing something, how much raw materials are required, how much sales are happened, how many things are going to be do, and what are the employees or machineries are required. These are the different perspectives, or these are the different ways to we have to create some value. Everything has to be value, and we have to maintain this a like chain, and we have to analyzing where the problem is happen in. For example, we will take it as a Amazon as an example. In Amazon, so this is the one software development in Amazon also. If suppose whenever you are going to take an order, means to see the products and buying something, anything. So first you they are taking the order taking, and also based on that order taking, they are giving the product you have. Whenever you are placing the order, they deliver someday, they are giving the they are providing that link also when they are going to be delivered, and everything after delivery also they have to support the customer support is there if suppose anything happened, otherwise the return. So these are the different uh, chain is there, one sequential process is there. So you have to represent in value chain analysis also. One more example, for example, we'll take it as a software development manager for a software house. The team handled the software enhancements for many clients. The excellent services are provided sometimes. So during that activity analyst part, what are the going to be activities can be done for the value chain analysis, the order taking, and what are the enhancement specification and schedule, and software development, programmer testing, secondary testing, delivery support. So these are the different activities can be performed in analysis phase. So the recruitment training will be taking into action to solve the different one. So this is the value chain analysis. First order taking, specification, scheduling, value factors what were going to be there, and what are the changes is required. So activity analysis we have to perform something, and value analysis we have to value that one. So this is why we are representing value chain analysis. Next one, mind mapping technique. We already seen the how ideas or other items can be linked to a central idea. each other, and mind maps generate, visualize, structured and classify ideas. Whenever you are representing mind mapping like a hierarchical structure, the root representing, we are seeing the mind mapping for the design thinking process also. First, in design thinking, in that it is linked with 5 stages. Every 5 stages has their own links also. So that is organizational, organized way we are representing mind mapping. So this is one of the example. Next tool is the rapid concept development. This tool for using the uh, insights and new business opportunities. How we have to generate and develop new business opportunities can be mainly focusing in rapid concept development. So here the term innovation process concept development maybe think of when they often equate with brainstorming. So the rapid concept development means you have to introduce it in quickly. You have to focusing on the user insights and the new opportunities you have to be created or developed. Something new means you have to continuously quickly you have to perform in. Whenever you are going to perform in rapid way, the changes also happen in rapid way means you have to adapt that one. That is the rapid concept development. If suppose whenever you are developing, you have to change or modifications anything in that process, you have to mainly focusing on the changes where if it is required you have to adapt that when the changes will be uh, maybe the process or technology will varies, but the solutions will get better. So that's why suppose the rapid concept development also one of the tool we are using. The changes can be happen, the innovation process can be involved, so you have to accept that one. Next one is the assumption testing. In that assumption testing means if suppose you have to create anything like new business concepts or available data, like any assumptions you have to, that's like a hypothesis. If suppose it is going to be better solution or best solutions for that one, but it is not, you have to assume that is best or it is good for that, but sometimes it's not. So the business concept like hypothesis, well informed guess about what customer desires and what they will value. If suppose you are assuming this solution is going to be better the customers, but it is not. If suppose it may be, maybe may or not, but you have to assumption this is the best one. That is the assumption testing. If you are going to be something key assumptions, that is the attractiveness of a new business concept. Suppose you are assuming something developing this is the best one, so sometimes it's best, sometimes it wrong also. So you have to take that assumption also for developing the new thing. Assumption testing in prototyping, we are seeing the different prototypings and everything. Ideas and design assumptions conceptualization process can be your mentioned in preliminary. Before going to be implementation, you have to maintain the graphical representations using different papers or storyboards, everything. Next one is the co-creation. In co-creation method you have to mainly represented the user presence is essential in the creative process. Why means the user, we are maintaining the product or service based on the user's perspective. So user presence is essential. Why means we have to, if suppose in define set clarify, think, realize. This is the co-creation design process. Whenever you are using the user's presence, that time if suppose we are anything changes are happen, anything new things are created, you have to share that goal and the designers to work for the designing, and where the process is going to be created, how the process is going to be happen. So this is the co-creation. You have to collaborate with users also. Means if you are involved some users, maybe they will give some ideas or their perception also required. So you have to combine with the users and develop the creative process. So that's why we are call it as a co-creation. Next one is the learning launches. It is like you are learning based on that market, or marketing opportunities are more. That time you have to introduce to new concept and new process or new thing, the new initiative, new growth initiative the market will be taken, means you have to learning the launch when the market is going to, suppose sometimes the market is not there, means the that is not going to be benefit for your product or service. So you have to learning the launches when the product is getting best. For example, we'll see the electric cars and electric bikes, present market, every person have some interested are there. So some persons they are they in electric cars, and based on that you have to launching the electric cars. If suppose uses the market driven data basis only, we have to take the decisions quickly and inexpensively, means you have to take the launches. Learning launches means you have to learn the market trends and observe that pattern when you are going to launch new product. If suppose you are going to launch the new product, but the users are not ready with using that one, that is not a successful project or product service. So that time you have to learning which launch is going to be benefit the market. Next, storytelling method. The story is like the series of points, how you are going to be visualize your brain and how you are getting the new ideas feel like real. So that is storytelling method is one of the tool for the creating the solutions. In design thinking process also we are using this storytelling method as a tool. So, story of a successful product or service. If suppose this is the one of the example, like here that exposition, this is the incident, and this is the rising action, crisis, climax, and this is the end. So this is like a storytelling method. Whenever the storytelling method, our brain is visualizing what you are going to be telling, that points, it connected the points and it will give the solution. The visualization storytelling visualization also improving when you are going to be performing storytelling methods. These are the different tools are used in the design thinking process. So these are the different solution, not solution. This is a different tools: visualization, journey mapping, value chain analysis, mind mapping, rapid concept development, assumption testing, prototyping, co-creation, learning launches, storytelling. Thank you.